Everyone, Bearded IT Dad live stream. Tonight we have a very special guest with us from the host of the YouTube channel, the Big Bald Azure Guy. We have Corey Knapp, and we are going to be talking about everything cloud computing, whether it's getting into the field, training resources out there. And if you guys have any questions, we're going to be answering them right here in the chat. So stay tuned because we're going to talk about that and much more coming up. Welcome back, everyone. With us, we have the host, the Big Bald Azure Guy, Corey Knapp, with us this evening, answering your questions you might have about the cloud. Not much. Welcome. Sorry for the little bit delay, everyone. We are working out technical issues. I haven't streamed in quite a while, and then Corey, he is having some issues as well. What do you do in the IT world, right?
It's all good. What are you going to do? You know, just for this, I got a new shirt for you.
Oh, nice. I love it. I love it. So for people who aren't familiar with you, I know we've been actually putting out a couple videos about the cloud with you and a couple interviews, but do you mind taking a few seconds and introducing yourself to the people who don't know who you are?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Corey Knapp. I've been doing this about 25 years. Started off government sector, private sector, was a Microsoft certified trainer, still am. Also worked for Linux Academy and A-Cloud Guru doing content, releasing information at courses about PowerShell, Azure, Azure CLI, multiple time Microsoft certified certifications, moving into AWS now for work purposes. I'm working for a company based on the West Coast as a partner, principal cloud architect. And I also have my YouTube channel, which I just kicked off about 3-4 months ago, the Big Bald Azure Guy. And I guess later on we'll talk about jumping into cloud. I'm actually releasing a new series of videos to kick things off for this year and kind of do a soft reboot and kick things out the right way for me.
That's awesome. And you know, I really think nowadays almost everyone has heard the term the cloud, and I think everyone's come to the realization the cloud is the future. It has some part to do in the future with, and in all honesty, in any IT field, you're going to deal with some part of the cloud. I mean, and at some point in time here in the near future. What do you think? Is the cloud going to take over everything, or is there going to be some hybrid environment thing in the future we're going to see?
I think there's going to be a lot more adoption of cloud over the next 5 to 10 years, but I mean, it's already come on like gangbusters. But I think what you're going to see is you're still going to see things staying hybrid, especially for the large enterprises. There's actually been a little bit of traction being gained, especially on the AI machine learning side, where people are starting to keep, because they've realized it's actually cheaper to run machine learning and AI clusters on-prem, as opposed to paying the exorbitant prices in the cloud. Now we're talking infrastructure, security, all that kind of stuff. Definitely hybrid, Azure AD, AWS, Google Identities. It's the way to go. I mean, I specialize in Azure, but like I said, cloud is going to be the way of the future. And how many companies do you see nowadays that you can stand up an entire infrastructure for a small company in a couple of days max? I mean, it doesn't take much. So it's here to stay. It really is.
Absolutely. I really think it is the future, and I agree with you. I think we're going to see a hybrid version. And I don't think there's really any benefit to going to everything in the cloud. Actually, I think it's kind of a detriment in my opinion, but I think that hybrid infrastructure, you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you look at things like especially identity, multi-factor authentication. The cloud gives you easy access to high availability, fault tolerance, things like that. It makes more sense to stick with a hybrid model. I mean, granted, it's easy to do simply public cloud, or even you can stand up your own private cloud. That's fine too. But I do think the way of the future is going to be hybrid overall.
Absolutely. Now, I've actually had a question quite a bit lately is, when you coming to, when learning the cloud, a lot of different cloud providers have like free training and certificates. What's your opinion on that? Is that the way to go? Is there better training opportunities out there? Kind of talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of funny. I'll talk about my stuff that we're doing afterwards. But I mean, definitely, I'll say from the Azure point, Microsoft has Microsoft Learn, which is a fantastic platform. They also have their partner programs, and they also offer free trainings out there. If you take a look at, say, AZ 900 virtual training, or AZ 104 for the administrator virtual training, what you will see is if you attend these classes, they'll give you a free voucher to take the exam when you're done, which is great. Now, keep in mind, these are mostly web platform, text-based, a little bit of video, but for the most part, it's text-based. Do some study through GitHub. If you're into more of a video type environment, you like CBT, computer-based training, you want to get some practical experience in a lab environment, I highly recommend you set up your own cloud account, whether it's on Azure, AWS, GCP, you name it. Everyone will give you a certain amount per month that you can use. Usually it's $100 per month free, or $50 a month that's free. And you just set up a budget. I'm actually releasing over the next probably 3 to 4 months, starting in about a week or so, a 20 video series on, I'm calling it Back to Basics. Everything you need to start learning cloud engineering. Now, you can start right now with the AZ 900. You can start with the AZ 104, whatever you want. But I've noticed when I start bringing in people, when I start hiring people who work in the cloud, those who have just the certs don't have all the experience they need. There's so many basics that people are coming in not having mastered. So I'm going to start teaching Linux, building lab environments, DevOps principles, not DevOps, but DevOps principles, Git and GitHub, security, Azure security, anything you can think of that you should know, how to do some PowerShell, how to do some Azure CLI, some Bash scripting, things that will make you a better engineer so that you can make that jump directly from being IT to cloud engineer. So I'm releasing that over the next few months. And like I said, there's also the big teams out there, the big groups out there, the cloud academies, the plural sites, the A-Cloud gurus, AWS. I cannot recommend highly enough Adrian Cantrell for his AWS training. If you want to learn HashiCorp, take a look at what they've got. That's Terraform, Vault, Console. There's so many things in the cloud now that you can do. It's just a matter of trying to find the right training for you and what works for you. Now, if you don't want to go out there and purchase a huge monthly membership, yearly membership to some of these places, they will offer 7-day free trials, 1-month free trials. Also, typically around Memorial Day, Labor Day, July 4th, and Christmas, and Black Friday especially, they will have some great sales. I just rehabbed my Pearl site for $299 for the year, which, you know, is not bad considering normally it's $50 a month, which is $600 a year. So, hey, you know what? It's half off. Take advantage. But like I said, there's a lot of free resources out there. And don't forget YouTube, guys. Starting out in IT, you've got Bearded IT Dad. You've got KevTech. You've got IT Career Questions with Zach. You've got all those guys out there. Hit us up for questions. We're here to support you guys.
Absolutely. There is so many free resources. And really quick, I want to touch on something you just said. And we covered this kind of actually in our last interview I just put up, where we're talking about some of the skills you needed. The cloud, really, you know, to be successful in the cloud, you really need to have those fundamental skills. You can't just jump right into the cloud. The cloud is just someone else's data center. You know, it's still the same hardware. It's just located somewhere different. And you still need all those fundamental skills. So once you know the kind of the fundamentals, you know, a server is a server, whether it's in your on-prem data center or up in the cloud. Yeah. Now, there might be some terminology differences and stuff like that, but, you know, you still need to learn the fundamentals. And that's why, like, one thing, like, anyone looking to get in the field, I recommend go get out, like, your A+ certification or some of those basic IT certifications. And you got to have those, like, it's like building a house. You got to have a good foundation to build a house on. You know,
have to have a strong frame. Exactly. And that's, I just brought up the list here of stuff that I'm producing over the next few weeks. The Linux basics, building a Linux lab environment, whether that's on-prem, on a laptop, using VirtualBox, or doing something else, spinning up a VM in the cloud. Networking, GitHub, application basics, web server basics, databases, JSON and YAML, PowerShell, Azure CLI, what is cloud, public, private, and hybrid, setting up your first Azure environment, setting up budgets, role-based access control, enterprise landing zones, security basics, infrastructure as code, policy as code, Azure policy, and Azure security. And I'll probably branch this out with another 5 to 10 if I have to. But I want to make this your go-to starting point for saying, you know, I want to get in the cloud. Yes, AZ 900 is a great starting point. But here's the thing. AZ 900 is a memorization exam that you know what Azure is, what the components do. It doesn't teach you how to use those components. And that's where I want to say, you know what? If you have these prereqs, at least a mid-level knowledge going in, it'll make things so much smoother, your transition to being a cloud engineer.
Absolutely. And really quick, I want to say something, for all the people who are just filing into the live stream. First off, welcome. Second of all,
Definitely.
this is your guys' live stream. If you guys have any questions about the cloud, landing a job, interview, resume, different online platforms, make sure you put those questions in the comments below. And even if you're watching this on the replay, I get back to every question. Corey's often in my questions or in my chat as well, or on my Discord servers. Feel free to ask questions.
Feel free to roast us as well too. So that's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Corey has over 25 years of experience in the field. He knows a thing or two. I mean, he's not just a bald Azure guy. He knows about anything when it comes to cloud. So, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
This is going to be the beard and balded IT show is what it's going to be.
Absolutely. And it's such fun having you on the channel. You have so much knowledge, but you're easy to talk to, and that's an important skill and a trait in the IT field is, I think so often people look past the soft skills and some of the basic skills you should have getting into the field. Your communication skills, it really will take you a long way. The skills, learning the cloud and all that can easily be taught, but ability to communicate is super important. And I want to take a second and ask you, like when you're interviewing something or someone, what are some of the things you look for when communicating with them? What are some tips you have?
Let me put it this way. I do not care if someone has the required certs. I want to see that they have the knowledge, and I want to see that they have the thought process to apply that knowledge. If someone comes in and I ask them, what's a virtual network in Azure? How do you set up peer-to-peer networking? How do you set up high availability among regions? What are availability zones? I don't care if you have all the lingo down. I want to make sure that even if you don't know, I want to know what your thought process is. I want to see how you handle yourself under pressure. I'm going to give you some tough questions, but I want to see if you can rise to the challenge. I want to see your body language. If someone's going to start shrinking up like this, that's a bad sign. If they come out, like, I don't want gregarious like me, but I want somebody who's confident. I'm just weird. I know that, guys. It's cool. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's if you have confidence, even in the skills you already have, but you have confidence that you can gain the skills that you need, that shows up a lot in interviews. I will always check out someone's LinkedIn profile first. I will look to see if they have a GitHub. I will look to see if they're doing anything in the community to get started. I will look to see if they have a blog. And I'll even ask somebody, you know what? Sammer just put it in the chat here. Learning how to think is a skill in itself. You are so right. Learning is key. You have to learn how to learn. And for those of us, I didn't take certifications for almost 20 years, guys. I took them in the very beginning, took 20 years off, and I've been hog forward on certs the past 5 years. I had to learn how to learn all over again. And if I can find it one day, Dakota, I'll send it over to you, man. There is a great free Udemy course or Coursera. I think it's called Learning How to Learn. It features things like the Pomodoro technique, how to take notes. Kevin's done some great stuff on how to take good notes in his classes that he's taught online. It's really all, and if it's been like me where you've been out of college, gosh, since 96, too many years. You have to learn all over again. I mean, guys, I used to have hair down to here. Think about it. I mean,
you're gonna have to share one of those photos with me.
I will. But
well,
no, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a very good point, because learning how to learn and not being afraid of not knowing all the answers, not knowing all the answers to all the questions, you have to be okay with that. And in my interview for my current job, I had to say, I don't know the answer, but this is how I would go find the answer. And, a lot of times if you can explain your thought process, okay, I don't know the answer, so I'm going to go to Google. These are the sites I'm going to check for the answer. I'm going to start looking at these community forums where they talk about similar issues. And I'm going to take all that knowledge and apply it to what I'm working on. Yep. That's a skill. That's a skill in itself. That's, no one's an expert in this field. No one's going to know it all. I mean, if you say you don't use Google when you work in IT, you're lying. I mean, even the professionals, the triple CCIEs out in the world, I'm sure they use Google all the time, because you don't know everything.
My backbone is security, networking, DevOps, and I still find new things every day. In my current job, I deal with premier cloud partners, companies like Harness, companies like Sneak, companies like Lacework Security, that I'm coming in to their platform as a complete noob. So I have to start over and get certified on their stuff. And even though I've got security certs, I've got networking certs, I've got AVD, I've got architect, you name it, every day I'm learning something new. And the thing you can't ever be afraid of is asking for help. Now, obviously, you want to show that you've got a noodle up here. I mean, you've got to show that you've got confidence. You've got to show that you've got initiative. But don't be afraid, guys. Putting yourself out there is half the battle. I look for that swagger. I look for that kind of that IT machismo. You know what I mean? If somebody has the swagger, you want to work with them. Now, I don't want some cocky jerk. I mean, but I want somebody who knows what they know, and I want somebody who's not afraid to go up to a client and say, "Hey, why did you do this?" You know what I mean? Especially in my line of work. I mean, I work primarily for consultancy, so I'm dealing with clients all the time, or partners, but I'm dealing with people. And half of my job is dealing with people. So, like I said, as part of my Back to Basics course, I'm also going to teach personal branding. I'm going to teach communication skills. I'm going to teach basic PowerPoint presentation skills. Things how to create a network design diagram, or in my case, an Azure design diagram. Things that if you already have these basic skills going into your first Azure cloud interview or your first AW, and this applies to every cloud, guys, you will be 50% ahead of the other guys who don't have these skills. So it's just taking the time and learning them. And you can go from 0 to 100 in 3 to 6 months. You don't have to wait a year. I have people, like I said, I've been an Azure career coach for years as well. I have friends who were former police officers, former truck drivers. They're DevOps engineers now, guys, after 6 months making 100 grand a year. So it's not rocket science. I'll tell you what, when you posted up the YouTube short of your last interview, it looked like an awesome infomercial, man. But I don't care what you do. I don't care if you take a cert or not. Just try and skill up, try and level up, try and learn up all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question here from James Barry asking, is the Pomodoro a good technique? Have you used that, the learning technique before? What's your thoughts on it?
You know what? Let's just give a quick description of what it is. Basically, it's short, quick bursts of studying with breaks in between. So 20 minutes on or 30 minutes on with a 10-minute break, 30 minutes on with a 5-minute break. I am pretty much good to go about 90 to 120 minutes a day max on a really long study day. I have too much going on. I'm married. I've got kids. I've got teenagers. I've got a job. I have a day job. I don't just have a YouTube channel. I also have to, I'm a Microsoft certified trainer. I teach other people as well. So I can't get in more than about 5 to 10 hours a week of study time. So I take advantage of what I can do. And plus, if I go more than 2 hours, imagine sitting in the most boring 2-hour movie you can think of. That's what reading some of this, don't get me wrong, I love what I do, but some of this documentation is just mind-numbing.
It's just so dry sometimes.
Yeah, and putting it in practice is awesome, but reading it, come on, guys. Let's be honest. So to me, I'd rather work in short, really good quality short bursts. I retain more. I've tried to do days where I can study 4 or 5 hours a day to cram for a test. I lose. I might retain it very quickly for that test when cramming, but a week later I forgot half what I learned.
Oh yeah, and I think there's studies that show that trying to cram all that knowledge in, you're more likely to lose the knowledge and forget it. And personally, myself, in all honesty, to be honest with myself, I'm good for like an hour studying. If I go any more than an hour, it's gone. If I'm going to study, I'm going to study for like 30 minutes. I'm going to spend another 30 minutes practicing what I learned, and that's good. And I actually heard this on another YouTube, not tech-related channel, but another like productivity channel. Mm-hmm. And everyone has like 2 to 3 hours of good focus time a day, but it's only, it's like during a certain per hour. Like me, I'm more of a morning person. I have some of my best productivity first thing in the morning. It's weird. but you need to find like your green zone of, okay, this is when my focus is the best. I'm going to study during that time. Then in your yellow and red zone, you can do the other things you need to do,
We're
but figure out what
man.
time works.
It is almost midnight here in North Carolina, and this is this is my best time for learning and studying.
Yeah.
I've been up since 4 a.m. this morning because my fire alarm went off this morning in the building.
Gosh.
Yeah, so I did manage to catch about a 45-minute nap early this evening to kind of get ready to go. But man, normally I get up around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I start my day at 9. I am not functional until I've had 5 cups of coffee, minimum. Now at night, I'm still drinking coffee, mind you, right here. So
yeah,
gosh,
that's crazy.
We're the opposite. I do not do mornings, man, at all.
See, I wake up about 6 every morning. I get to work about 7:38, and my best time is like 8:30 to 9 o'clock. It starts, and for a good hour or two after that. After lunch, it's a downhill slide. So I try to cram my day, preload my day with all the hard, difficult stuff to do, and get out of the way too. That way, I get out of the way, and it's done, and all that. But
I'm a vampire, man. I do not do days. If I could find a way to convince my wife to move to Northern Alaska, where there's 2 hours, she's shaking her head no. 2 hours of sunlight a day, that'd be me.
Maybe it's because I used to work graveyards all the time, and my brain just said, no, I'm done. So.
And the thing to realize, man, I used to work graveyards when I first had kids. Loved it. I used to work 6 to 6 overnights. 3-4 years ago, I got an offer to go work for a company overnights as well, and I would work 10 to 8 in the morning. I was 40 at the time. No, I can't. Don't get me wrong, I'm a night owl. I stay up till 2 o'clock most nights, but I've realized I cannot work through the night anymore. Now that I'm in my mid-40s, it doesn't happen anymore. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm in my early 30s, and it was probably about 5 years ago I said I'm done working graveyards, and it was about 3 or 4 years ago when I entered the IT field, and that was part of the reason. But yeah, and really quick for those of you.
Look to me.
Yeah.
Just here's how dark we are. Those are Halloween decorations you see in the background right here. Right? I'm going to get my finger on the camera here. Right about that candle right there. My wife made me put up the decorations this weekend. They're starting, so they're all over the house. We are zombies. So that's, even though my wife is up at 4:30 every morning, she's still up to 2 o'clock in the morning. So go figure that one out. I don't know how she does either. I do not. What, dear?
I'm up at 2 to go to work.
Yeah, she's up at 2 to go to work most nights anyway. So,
oh gosh, that's a rough life.
Yeah,
and
such is the life of a nurse.
Absolutely. And I just want to throw out there really quick again, for those of you who are just joining us, welcome. We are talking about really everything cloud and tech related, but we have the wonderful host of the Big Bald Azure Guy, Corey Knapp, with us, answering your questions you guys might have about getting into the cloud computing, or just really getting into IT in general. Corey has over 25 years of experience in the field, and he is a wealth of knowledge. So if you guys have any questions at all, make sure and drop them in the chat, or on the replay, make sure and put them in the comments below.
And I also want to invite you guys, subscribe to my channel, and also subscribe to me on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Most trainers and YouTubers worth their salt will apply in the proper environments. We want to help you guys. We really do.
Absolutely. The link to Corey's YouTube channel is down in the description below, everyone. I don't think I have his LinkedIn down there. But if you go to his YouTube channel, you can find his LinkedIn. So
there you go.
There you go.
Just search for Big Bald Azure Guy. It's out there somewhere. So
absolutely. So since we're talking about LinkedIn, what advice do you have for people looking to make the switch into, like, maybe they don't have any like IT experience at all, but they're trying to formulate their LinkedIn profiles to appeal to like an IT job? Maybe they just started studying for a cert. Do you have any advice for those type of people out there?
Definitely. If you're going after your first job, number one, look back to what you've done. If you have been in customer service, you already have a key skill that most IT folks don't. I call it the Big Bang Theory gap. Look at those guys from that show. The guys like Sheldon, the guys like Leonard. You would not put them in front of customers, guys. They don't have people skills. If you've been in customer service, you already have that. If you've been in the restaurant industry, you already have that. You can talk to people. Maybe it's not your favorite thing, but you can do it. If you are working as a paralegal, you've got great typing skills. You'll be faster doing scripting than some other people. If you have got, if you've done, if you've been a researcher of any kind, research is fantastic for what we do. And even still, my friends who are police officers and truck drivers, they have to be disciplined to do their jobs. They have to pay attention to detail. You already have some of the skills you need. What I would recommend doing is listing those kinds of skills that are translational from job to job, and also put in there what you're pursuing, what you're chasing. Current A+ certification, pursuit, estimated time of completion, and put in the month that you're planning on finishing things up. And also, too, guys, there's a ton of places out there that you can go volunteer. Take a look at your local church, your local synagogue, your local temple. Take a look at community service offerings out there, the YMCA. Different community places out there are looking for people to help others, to help teach others. And then also, look, if you're still looking to learn, you don't know where else to go, join chats in Discord, join LinkedIn groups, join live streams on YouTube. There are ways you can scale up rapidly. If you want to put your skills to the test, I'm working with a great guy named IP Config. His real name is Holden, and I've met him through your Discord. I am not a graphic guy whatsoever. He said, hey, I want to practice my graphic skills. Can I make some thumbnails for you? The guy has created some amazing stuff in the past 24 hours, man. I can't believe it.
Absolutely.
He's a high school student. I mean, just a little bit older than my son. I'm like, man, this kid's got some serious talent. Go on places like Fiverr that you can go post your resume or post your skills. Say, hey, I'm looking to do this. Volunteer work. I know the goal here is to make money, but you're also looking to skill up to get that job too. So volunteer work is huge as well. Reach out to guys like Kevin over in KevTech. They are constantly for people to volunteer in the community.
Absolutely. And, you'll find, like, once you start talking to people in the community and start networking, you'll find that almost everyone in this field is willing to help. There is a few gatekeepers out there. I've actually seen them more lately than but 90% of the people you talk to in this field, if you found some random stranger on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm looking to get into IT, do you have any advice for me? I could almost guarantee you they're going to give you some good advice. Now, take it with a grain of salt, talking to strangers and trying to get career advice, but on the same hand, a lot of people in this field are super helpful, and there's tons of resources out there. You have a wonderful YouTube channel, and you have done some amazing coursework. Like you said, there's KevTech, there's IT career skills, there's keeping it techie. The list goes on and on and on about the different YouTube channels, the different creators in this space that are willing to help people really advance their career. That's why I'm here, to be honest with you. There was a YouTube channel, it was actually IT career questions that inspired me. Yeah, Mr. Zach Hill, who inspired me to, I was driving a bulldozer, and on my brakes I was watching his videos. I'm like, man, this is like, I've always had a love for tech. Why am I doing this mundane job? And I quit my job and got a new job in the IT field, and 3 years later I'm the director of network operations, making six figures and living the dream.
That's
absolutely.
And you will always find like-minded individuals. Look at our group. We have our own little Discord club. There's about 15, 20 of us that we are all YouTube creators. Between the 20 to 25 of us, we've probably got close to 1 million subs between everybody. I mean, Zach's a big piece of that. But think about it. We're all here to support each other. So we're trading users, we're trading subs, we're trading stories, we're trading technical war stories, how to improve our content. I mean, we're here to help each other. And there are Discord channels and Slack channels that are out there to help people learn the skills, learn new information, learn new content creation methods. It's out there, guys. You just have to find it. And it's once you put your name out there, it's easy to find.
Absolutely. Now, one myth I want to crush here, and I want your opinion on it.
Sure.
Does someone need certifications to be able to start in the IT field? Any job in the IT field?
No. It is easier. Let's put it that way. Do you need them? No. I will tell you, it is much easier to get your foot in the door with an A+, with a Network Plus, with a cloud foundational cert like AWS or Azure or GCP foundations. Is it required? No. Like I said, I will look at guys who have
even jobs
experience.
Yeah, and even jobs that say it's required, apply for it.
No.
What's the worst that's going to
Yep.
happen? They're going to tell you no. You know,
Or like
if
with
they
my
say,
case, I will bring you on board. I used to run an East Coast infrastructure division for Azure. I'll tell you, you know what? I like what you do. For our partner requirements, you have to get these 3 certs. Get them in the first year you're here. But I
yep,
don't need you, I don't need to bring you on board. It's part of your performance. You know what I mean? It's part of your requirements to get your bonus or whatever. Um, Most companies worth their salt look for certs, but it isn't the end all be all. We are willing, if somebody has that right company culture fit, if they have the soft skills, if they have that hustle, we will bring you in. That's people who I know are like that.
absolutely. And a good majority of companies worth their salt as well will pay for a lot of those certifications that are related to the
Absolutely.
job field or what they're doing. I know every company I've ever worked for in the IT field always had some sort of tuition reimbursement or learning reimbursement. Like my current company even would pay to send me to select conferences and stuff like that, for networking events. Because
Sure.
specifically, like my boss will even say, "Hey, I want you to go to this event purely because I want you to network with other people in the field. They're talking about pretty good topics, but I want you to really focus on going out there and talking to other people and figuring out what other people are doing in the field, and so you can come back and apply those skills here."
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's one great thing about being in this field. So don't think you have to know it all and have all these certifications to start looking. If you're interested in being in the IT field, apply today. There's no reason you should not be applying for jobs if you want to be in the IT field.
I mean, guys like us, I mean, think about it. You switched to IT, but let me guess, even when you were driving a bulldozer, you were a techie at home, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had, before I even entered the IT field, I had, tons of Cisco gear in my house that was running my network and all that. Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
if it was a PlayStation only, you still were into tech. You know this. It's just a matter of taking that passion you've got for technology and taking it to the next level. That's all it is.
Absolutely. I was just looking through chat, make sure I didn't miss any
Sure.
questions yet. But lost my train of thought there. Well, and I sound like a broken record, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat here. So let's kind of step back a little bit into the cloud. You are the Big Bald Azure Guy, and I know I kind of talked about this in one of our interviews. But why Azure? What made you go with Azure versus like AWS or Google Cloud or the other little
For
ones out there?
me, I go back to the old DOS days. I was command line interface. There was no Windows 95. There was no Windows XP when I first started out. But I started out with DOS. Then I graduated to Windows 3.1, 95. I was a Windows help desk guy, then a Windows Exchange, then a Microsoft Exchange guy. I was an Exchange mail guy for 10 years. I've always been in the Microsoft sector, and I think most people who have been in the Microsoft wheelhouse for most of their career will go Azure. Now, you don't have to be. I mean, each platform has its peaks. Let's just say AWS, web servers, database, Google, machine learning, AI. Um, Microsoft, it's evident. I mean, it's the Microsoft back office at most enterprises nowadays. Look at it this way, guys. Um, if you are a Linux guy, you'll probably go AWS. But here's the other thing to look at too: 90% of the cloud is on a Linux backbone. Everything you see out there is Linux. So it doesn't hurt to cross train and know these things. I had to learn Linux 10 years after I learned Windows because, oh, wait, it's part of cloud. Thankfully, when I worked for Linux Academy, I had a bunch of Linux trainers right there. Said, "Hey, go take this course." I was there. I had free training. What do you want? Take advantage of it. That was one benefit of working for a training company. All the free training you could ever want right in front of your face. But it's one of those things, guys. I mean, stick with what you want. Stick with what you know. And I would also tell you too. Thing to look at is your geography. If you are in, just pick up a random location, Wisconsin. Do a search on LinkedIn. Do a search on Indeed for cloud engineer, cloud administrator. See what pops up most: Azure, AWS, GCP. If you really want to get a job locally, you're better off going after what is popular in your area. I'm in North Carolina. I'm near the Raleigh-Durham Chapel Hill Triangle, where there's a ton of tech sector down here. So I had my pick, but also too, guys.
I think we lost Corey there for a second.
I'm back.
There you are.
Hey, I don't know what happened. My internet went out real quick.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, look at what you want to go geographically based. If AWS is popular in your area, I know Austin, Texas is a huge AWS area. If you are in Seattle, typically that's Microsoft territory, folks. But also too, it doesn't matter where you are geographically anymore. Work from home, no matter what you see guys like Elon Musk say, or whoever the latest fool out there that says, get back in the office. Guys, I've been working from home for the past 10 years. Work from home is here to stay. It may not be as severe as it was during COVID, but it is here to stay in some form or fashion, especially as you get into more senior roles. Starting out, yes, you're going to have to be in the office. Help desk, for the most part, will be in the office. And I have some of our friends like Kevin is huge. He loves help desk. God bless his poor soul. I don't know how he still loves help desk, but I will tell you, I spent my years on the help desk, and you will learn more in 6 months of help desk than anywhere else. You will see so many different things. I did 2 years of help desk. I went from being a help desk administrator, help desk engineer, or help desk technician to help desk administrator to a full-blown systems engineer in less than 3 years because I was exposed to so much. So it doesn't matter what cloud you pick, just pick one. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Cole here in the chat has a good question, and James answered it pretty well, but I want to hear your answer. He says, on the A+, there's a million questions on laser printers. When I took the Mike Myers IT Pro TV, Kev Tech, and Tech Geek, seems like that everyone has a different solution. Should I memorize Jason Dillon's answers and know the real data in the field? What is your
I'll be
suggestion?
honest. I don't have an A+. I've never taken it. I haven't worked on. I have a laser printer in my office, but I haven't had to work on laser printers in 23 years. Thank you. But,
one of the lucky few.
What I will tell you, if you have the training material, study the training material, answer the question according to the training material. That's what you have to do. We all know real world solutions are different than book solutions. So if you're going for a certification, study for the test. That's all. That's the best thing I can tell you. Study. We all know there's certain things out there. You want to talk about enterprise landing zones. You want to talk about security best practices. They want to talk about anything else in the cloud. There are things that are best practice recommended, and there are things that, and you'll stick to them if you can. But in real world scenarios, how often do you find someone you can do 100%?
Absolutely.
So,
and I really like this answer by James. Know the concept, not just the answer. Understand how it works. Because if you understand how it works, you're going to know the answer to the question. So
that's why
I'm teaching my Back to Basics
series. I want people to understand the prerequisites that are key to building a career in the cloud. Because if you know Linux, you know networking, subnetting, things like that, everything else comes very easily afterwards. You can build up on those skills brick by brick by brick.
Absolutely. Now we're coming up to the top of the hour, and I want to talk about your YouTube channel because it is such an amazing resource. You are doing so much cool stuff. Why don't you take a little bit of time and tell us about the Big Bald Azure Guy, what you are about over there?
Yeah, well, what I started it out as was I had a group of people. I put a request on LinkedIn. I wanted to kick off my channel. Now, thankfully, the company I'm with now, Trace3, God bless them, awesome people. They want me to build my own personal brand because building my personal brand helps build their brand, which is awesome. So they gave me half the equipment you see in front of you, everything else. So I put an ad on LinkedIn, not an ad, but a post and saying, hey, looking for students, people who know cloud, people who want to learn cloud, people who want to advance in the cloud. And I figured I'd get 3 or 4 responses. I got 150 responses in the first 24 hours. So my wife and I put every hat in the name, picked out a dozen students. We ended up doing 6 to 8 lessons, I think it was, getting people started off. About a third of them were completely new. A third of them were mid-level, and a third of them were advanced, looking to switch, say, from database work to security work, or from desktop work to Azure infrastructure. So the first 4, 5, 6 videos that I did were just streams of my classes, which has been really cool. We're down now to like the final 4 or 5 who've really stuck with the program, and that's due to attrition, guys. Not everybody has the time. I taught a lot of personal skills, a lot of personal branding stuff, how to study, how to work things out with your significant others, your family, your best friends you have appointments with, or you guys have football on Sundays or whatever, that you may have to disappear for a few weeks because you're studying. I mean, what it means to do that. Make a verbal agreement with your wife, your husband, your partner. I don't care. And we talked about all those kind of things. I went into descriptions of what the cloud certifications were that were out there: Azure, AWS, GCP. So now we've wound down, and it was time for, don't get me wrong, it's been very successful the first 3 or 4 months. I've had a lot of fun doing it, but I'm tired of doing 1 to 2 hour live streams every single week. Like, I love doing them, but I'd rather do Ask Me Anything questions sessions kind of like this. So the 3 or 4 or even 5 people who've stuck with us a lot, they're going to be in some of the future videos we've got. And now I'm kicking off my own content series. I've been approached to do, through some of the big training partners out there, Azure certification courses: AZ 800, AZ 801, AZ 700, 104, 304, 305. I've worked for the big guys before. I worked for Linux Academy. I worked for A Cloud Guru. I don't want to work in that environment anymore. Number one, I think the training should be available for everybody. So I'm going to offer it all free on YouTube. I'm going to offer first, like I said, my 20 to 25 video series on back to basics, which I mentioned before. It's all things like Linux, networking, security, DevOps principles. Keep going. Then I'm going to stick with Azure. It's what I know best, guys. I may eventually do some AWS stuff or point you in the right direction of where to go after that, but I'm going to be teaching all of the Azure certs some will be in a live bootcamp style with Q&A. Some will be pre-recorded lab sessions. And I will also have a corresponding GitHub site that you guys can practice the labs that I'm teaching in these courses. If I teach a course on how to set up a VirtualBox Linux environment, I'm going to provide instructions in GitHub for free how you can do this for free. I want to see more people in the cloud. I want to see more students. I want to see more young people. I want to see more women in tech. I want to see people who are 50 years old making a career change in tech. It is for everybody. So to me, that's what it's all about. To me, it's a little bit of residual income that I'm going to put back in the channel. I'm not looking to get rich off of this. This is not my day job. My day job, I love doing my day job. I am a principal cloud architect. I'm exposed to these technologies every single day. And the biggest reason why I do this is because when I started out, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't know where to go. There was nothing. Google barely existed when I started out. You had to go spend money on a $100 textbook to figure things out. And even then, you'd spend half the night banging your head against the wall trying to figure out, why isn't this crap working? Now, it's so easy to find friends in the field. I mean, I have become such good friends with you, with Kevin, with Holden. I mean, cybersecurity warrior, all those guys, Zach. We're all doing it because we love doing it. So why not pay it forward? And that's why I do this. And that's why I will not just teach certs. I will teach what you need to become a really, really good cloud engineer or cloud architect. That's what I want to do. And that's what my channel is going to be all about.
Absolutely. You know, while you were talking, someone actually just suggested, hey, please do a Udemy course. And I replied, nah, I'd rather just teach everything here for free. And if you want to support me, I have a Patreon channel. So feel free, if you find this useful, you can support me there. But I'd rather give the information away for free and help out the community, help out people. Because I was just like you. I didn't have a mentor myself. If it wasn't for IT career questions, I don't think I would be in this field, or at least where I am today. So, and I have a blast doing this. You know, I've met great people like you. I love having you on the channel. You just have such great energy. So, I really appreciate it. Absolutely. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know it is super late there, and I don't want your wife mad at me. I want her to let you come back on the channel again.
You should always let me on the channel. By the way, it's still 90 degrees out here at midnight. So it is.
Oh my gosh.
It's brutal out here right now.
Yeah, here on the West Coast, we have that heat spell like a week or so ago, and this week is actually really cool. Though where my studio is, we don't have air conditioning. We're in like an old house that's been converted into a business. Because unfortunately, I'm not fortunate enough to have room in my own house to run this, so I have to rent an office space. But I understand. I got the fan blasting away trying to get some cool air in here. But
let me explain something to you. They actually on the news today said, "Hey, guess what, guys? There's a cold front moving in. You know what a cold front is? 90." 90. I don't get this.
No.
Climate change is real. I'm telling you.
No. I grew up in Southern California, and I'm so glad I moved to Oregon. Yeah.
San Diego, where I was born, man. Jersey boy, but I spent the first 5 years in San Diego, so I remember the good weather out there.
I grew up just a little bit north of you. I grew up down in Laguna Hills, Mission Viejo area. So
yep, I know.
Absolutely. Well, do you have any other parting notes for everyone before we wrap up this wonderful live stream?
Best advice I can give you guys is stay hungry. Always ask questions. Always question authority respectfully. Don't be a jerk. But I mean, hey, if you don't understand something or if you disagree, there is nothing better to me if I have a guy who I'm mentoring or somebody who's underneath me and I say, and they say, why? And if they come with me with a real question, awesome. Number one, they're going to learn something. Number two, I'll learn something. Number one, I'll learn how they're thinking, how their thought process is, or you know what? On the odd occasion, I'm wrong. I mean, never be afraid to admit you're wrong, guys. You will be humbled and you will learn so much in the IT field, and especially cloud. Cloud changes. I mean, think about it, guys. I got my NT 4.0 certification back in '98. I didn't take another one for 20 years because guess what? NT was Windows Server for 20 years. Not much changed.
Yeah.
Now the cloud changes not just monthly or quarterly, but weekly. You have to keep up.
Daily sometimes. I mean,
daily. Exactly.
Well, if you guys like this live stream and you'd like to watch more, we've actually released a 3-part series. The first 2 parts are already out on the Bearded IT Dad YouTube channel. Part 3 is dropping this Thursday, where we're going to talk about interviewing tips, especially when it comes to cloud computing. Alrighty, well, I hope you guys found this informative. Corey, thank you so much. If you guys want to go check out Corey's YouTube channel, definitely the link's down in the description. Go subscribe. He puts out amazing content. It does great work. Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed. Until next time, take it easy.
See you guys.